So once again, good afternoon. My name is Gillian Smith out of Guyana, the Caribbean. It's such a pleasure to be here this afternoon. We want to welcome the media, all specially invited guests. I want to acknowledge our assistant coach for the Trinidad and Tobago national team, Mr. Ronald Carrington. I also want to acknowledge our ex-national player, Mr. Brian Williams. Welcome, welcome. To all specially invited guests, welcome. I just see Danger arrive. Welcome, welcome. So we're going to move straight into it. We have a feature speaker, a gentleman out of the soil of Point Fortin, born and bred right here in Point Fortin. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to put your hands together and show some Point Fortin love as we welcome to the podium Mr. Roy McCree, the PhD in Sociologist of Sports at the University of the West Indies. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Roy McCree.
It's a pleasure to be here. As the chair indicated, I am Roy McCree. I come from the field of sport studies, and that's another aspect of the commercialization of sport, which you know is now a $1 trillion industry across the world. You are more possibly interested in the particular area of playing professional sport, which is also important. But in the field that I'm in, you have the sport law, and people who are doing transfers and negotiating endorsement deals. You have to meet up with the sport lawyers. You have sport management people. You have the sport psychologists. Some of you may have worked with them already. There's also the area of sport manufacturing, sport engineering. You all would be actively involved in using the VAR, video assistant referee, is a particular feat in sport engineering. So I'm coming from the field of sport policy and sport sociology, and I've been teaching in these two areas at the University of the West Indies since 2001. My comments here today would be brief. There is a brochure in which there is a very brief history of the new Heritace Petroleum Point Fortin Civic FC, in which I give a historical overview of this club, and I indicate its major achievements when it was first established in 1968, after the withdrawal of the Shell Oil Company from taking part in sport in 1967. And it's important that we acknowledge the ex-players and men who assumed the responsibility for managing a team after a big multinational corporation had pulled out of the sporting life of the community. And they are Delbert Charlo and Doyle Griffith, both former national captains and also captains of United British Oilfield Trinidad Limited and Shell. And both Doyle and Delbert Charlo, they were on the first ever Trinidad and Tobago team to tour England in 1953. You also had, as part of the team management, Rollins Cax-Batiste, former goalkeeper, and you also had Roy Hackett. Rollins Cax-Batiste, together with Doyle, were also on the first West Indian team. You know of the West Indian cricket team? Well, there was a West Indian soccer team that toured the UK in 1959, and Rollins Cax-Batiste was the goalkeeper, or one of the goalkeepers on that side. So this new team was being led by a particular kind of soccer pedigree, a particular kind of soccer superstars, or who they call superstars now. And, excuse me. And they were leading a team that was coming out of Shell Courts, and members who were also playing for St. Benedict's, you know, at the same time. And between 1968 and in the 1972-73, in the first 5 to 6 years, they won 8 finals. They won the FA Cup. This is in 1969, when the FA Cup was a big thing in our football culture. They won the Coronation Cup, the Dockham Cup as well. They won the Southern Football League, Mark Moody Stewart Trophy, All in one season, they won 5 trophies. From 1971 to 1973, they won the Southern Football League also 3 times in succession. So this was a team that in the space of 5-6 years has established itself as one of the major teams on the island, continuing the tradition of Shell. Because what happened when Shell stopped taking part in soccer, the players from Shell just started to play for the new Point Fortin Civic Center, and their former players assumed the managerial responsibility. And in the heyday of the Point Fortin Civic Center, as it was called, they produced at least 30 national players for the national team and junior team. Okay, 30, at least 30 players. And it was normal for a national team to have at least 4 to 5 players from Civic on the side, starting. And this is why in the CONCACAF playoffs for the 1974 World Cup that took place in Haiti in 1973, there were at least 8 to 9 players from Civic Center. That is 8 to 9 out of 22. The squad was 22, so about 30% of the team came from Civic. They were players who played for Civic or used to play for Civic. That include the likes of Leroy. Leroy didn't make it to Haiti. Sorry, Leroy. Steve David was there. Wilfred Cave was there. Leo Brewster was there. Anthony Douglas was there. I also want to recognize in our midst one of our early pioneer professional players who was in Haiti, Celris Figaro. Celris Figaro. Where's Celris? Is he in the house? And of course, Steve David was there as well, scoring 4 goals in the last game against the Netherlands Antilles in that particular playoff. So this was a kind of, team and pedigree that you had playing for Civic at the time. And one thing that must be noted, and is not in the little history that is provided in this program here, is that Civic Center and the Point Fortin community in general at one time provided players for the defense force and the police, and not just the national team. They provided players for the defense force and the police. We could start with the police. Of course, the Davids, Anim David, Steve David. There is Noel Francois. There is also Keith Reno, again police. And don't forget Mikey Hackett as well, police. And Mikey's brother, Jerry, would have played for the defense force. Kenny Joseph is here, Kenny Joseph, defense force. You have Mohammed Salim. At one time played briefly for the defense force, and later on in the 80s, Francis Furlong, better known as Goat or Daddy Man, also played for the defense force. So this was the kind of richness that we had. There was a richness in the oil resource that we had, but there was a human resource richness in the sport that was played in Point Fortin and the soccer players and athletes that were produced in Point Fortin. So this is the kind of legacy, this is the heritage that you guys have been left with. And I hope that this provides a kind of inspiration, it provides a kind of motivation and aspiration for you to excel in what you do. And you are lucky that you still have some of those guys with you. Okay, Steve David, your technical director, one of the standouts as well in the North American Soccer League, together with Leroy, together with Celris and Cummings. Kenny Joseph was also in the NASL for a while, Wilfred Cave as well, Leo Brewster from Tiche was also in the NASL for a while. Anthony Douglas, if I haven't called his name before, he was also in the NASL. So this is the kind of rich history that you are inheriting. It's a hard act to follow, but I'm sure a lot of you have the talent to supersede and to go beyond your inheritance in terms of the football prowess that we have had in Point Forte, going back to the 40s and 50s. I would like to speak to a few issues and challenges that confronts the team, not just Point Forte Civic, it's some of the issues relate to club management in general in this country. And one of the issues has to do with, I know a major issue for team management is player recruitment, player retention, player performance. And that is, you know, a logical concern. But there's the issue of recruitment and retention of a management team to run the football. Historically, throughout the country and even nationally, football has been managed by ex-players with a great commitment to the game. And that has been a model that still continues with Point Forte Civic. But in a professional setup, it's a problem when you have ex-players who are heading to 70 and 80 and 60, being charged with that responsibility to manage a professional team and deal with issues of sponsorship and deal with issues of marketing. So that remains a challenge down the road for this team. We know what has happened to Samuel Jablote, those who have read the newspaper, established in 1973, and they have had to pull out of the Pro League because of funding issues. But at the base of funding issues are also management issues and marketing issues. Okay? So that is an important challenge that we face going forward. Team management. There's the issue of the crowd. And is there time now for a fan club or a club of supporters that defines the professional setup elsewhere? And club supporters have a particular, they have a footballing function, they have a psychological and political function, to support the team. They also have an economic function, which is to buy club merchandise. So across the Pro League, you look at the television screen, you look at the stands, and you're trying to find, the crowd and the spectators. All right? And that remains a problem. And talking about spectators, in 1963, Intercol Regional Final, QRC St. Mary's, Queen's Park Oval, 30,000 estimated. Let me repeat that. 30,000 estimated attendance for 1963 regional final between QRC and St. Mary's. St. Mary's won 2-0. In the same year, 1963 FA final, Maple Juniors, 20,000 estimated in the Oval. 20,000. How much we had last night? How much we had last night in the stadium? Estimated 10. Well, an intercall game in the past would be more than that. 1965, St. Benedict's versus Fatima in Skinner Park. St. Benedict's won 2-1. Estimated 20,000 people. And the roof broke down. They went and sat on the roof. People got injured. 20,000 people for the final. And on average, a football game, club game in the past, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 5,000 is a small crowd. Okay, the Red Cross was one of the major trophies then. It was one of the classics. Okay, the Red Cross Classic. You had the Roy Joseph Cup as well. You had the Ernie Hines Cup as well. And these attracted, sizable crowds back then. And what was the population? For those who like to examine correlations between population size and crowd support, in 1963, 800,000 people, 30,000 people attending a football game, but 20,000 people attending a football game at club level, at school level. Of course, those who went to see Santos play Trinidad in 1970, the attendance there was 30,000, but Intercol in 1963 was 30,000. All right? So something has happened in our football at all levels, school, club, and national. Okay, and forget the internet, that too is, has its own attractions or advantages and disadvantages. So there's a problem of crowd support at all levels for our football. And it is challenged that at the club level, if it is you want a source of funding, and particularly the issue of merchandising, you need a fan base or a support base. Okay? And talking about the issue of sponsorship, internationally, in terms of the professional game, there are certain major sources of revenue. Used to be gate receipts, but that now is small money. So big money is media money. Okay, Sky B, my last figures was 1 billion they paid for the rights to the English Premiership Division. Okay, to use college sport in the States, $13 billion CBS paid for the rights to college soccer. We're not doing the baseball and we're not doing the football rights. All right, and clubs get monies from these rights. The players get monies from the rights. It could be 10%. We don't have that in our particular neck of the woods. So media money is big money. The sponsorship, some of that is happening. It's not of the same size, but some of that is happening. Thanks to Heritace Petroleum Company, that some of that is happening. And merchandising remains one of the major sources of revenue for all professional teams everywhere. And it is my hope that in the not too distant future, that we can see a shop, probably located here, that is selling merchandise for the Point Forte Civic FC. So I can come and get cup, teacup, glass, clothes, T-shirt, pants, necklace with Dillion's name on it, Steve David's name on it, Leo Brewster's name on it, Warren Archibald's name on it. Because that is something that is within within the realm of possibility to do. Because the thing about sponsorship and sponsors, they have their own terms of reference, they have their own issues to deal with. Sponsors come and go, okay? And the merchandising we talk about, it may not be bringing in millions of dollars, but it's a way to start to get some source of self-funding, to help run a professional club. And lastly, it is my hope that players who are in professional clubs in general, particularly Point Forte Civic FC, could see in the club two professional avenues to career development. There's a football one, of course, to get a contract and play in the big leagues. There's the other professional avenue, which is to do either sport law, sport medicine, sport psychology. There's physiotherapy that is, quite relevant to sport. So you see sport for not just in terms of what we say sport development, but sport for development, that it offers you other career opportunities and possibilities to develop yourself as an individual. So I want to thank the Heritace Petroleum Company Limited for taking this decision to sponsor this club. They represent the economic heritage of Point Forte, and Point Forte Civic FC represents the sporting heritage of Point Forte. So they are both on the same page, they are both in alignment insofar as they see the value of heritage, and I wish them well, and I wish the team all the best in the new season that is upon us come Sunday. So thanks everyone, and all the best again.
I'm Hilton Hector, midfielder of Point Forte Heritace Civic Center.
Hi, I'm Andre Etienne, defender, playing for Heritace Petroleum Point Forte Civic Center.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome to the podium Mr. Allison Williams.
Again, good day to all. Morning again, everybody. Thank you all for coming to this media day of Heritace Petroleum Point Fontaine Civic FC. It's a privilege and an honor to do this because I don't think that there's any club in Trinidad and Tobago that has done this before, to recognize their team in a meaningful way to the entire media fraternity and also their community as we go forward into this new season, which starts on Sunday. Our first game is on Sunday, but the league starts on, it's Friday, the league starts on Friday. So I just want to thank again Heritace Petroleum Company Limited. Without their input and the sponsorship that they have given to us, some of the things that we are in trust with at this point in time would not have been achieved. We talk about everyone wants to reach to the highest, everybody loves a winner. And with Heritace coming on board, we were able to source some of the best players in this country, not only within the community. And as I say that, I want to thank the technical staff, Mr. Carrington and his team. Hippo just stand, let's give who's the assistant coach of Trinidad and Tobago. The physiotherapist of Trinidad and Tobago team who won last night, Mr. John. I'd like to thank Matthew, Stu, and one of our famous footballers in Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Sean D'Souza, who has contributed so much. They are all part of the team. And also our one and most important person that we cannot do without is our equipment manager, Mr. Eddie Nelson. Give Eddie man a hand. Yeah. I'd just like to acknowledge the appearance of the mayor of Point Fontaine, Mr. James, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence here this morning. And as Gillian said, the entire council. I want to thank everyone again for being here this morning. I know we had to improvise because of the weather condition after we spent energy, time, and money to fix the place up nice. But you know what? The Lord knows best, and the Lord is doing what he has to do. I thank Mr. Roy McRae, Dr. Roy McRae, for his sterling contribution and the historical background so that the younger players could understand what this institution means. It's not a club anymore for Point Fontaine. It's an institution that we have produced and will continue to produce. If you go all over this country, I think there's only one club that had some publicity the other day, which was Harvard, that went into, I think it was 80 years. Don't hold me to that. But we are here since 1968, so if we do the math, it's 55 years and counting, and we're still going strong. We thank all the football academies. I'm seeing Michael here with his football academy representing us. Thank you, Michael, for coming this morning, and all the past players that has contributed to us. I want to say a special thank you to my team, Point Fontaine Civic FC, this current team. You all have been charged with a particular task, and that is we need to go to CONCACAF Championship. We need to do that. We have to do that. We are seeing the talent of our players, and we are investing in you all. It's an investment. It really is an investment, because we were able to source the national goalkeeper. Where is he? I just want to give him a call. We won last night 2-1. I don't know if you all saw the game. And during that time, he stopped about, I am almost thinking about 4 certain goals last night in the first 25 minutes of the game, because I was there. And these are the kind of players that we are attracting based on our sponsorship, that come into the club and want to be part of this beautiful institution that we call Heritace Petroleum Point Fontaine Civic. I also want to thank the representative from Heritace Petroleum, Mrs. Christopher. She's right here in a grade. Thank you so much for your input, Ms. Christopher. And please extend our heartfelt thanks to the board of directors and to your direct management of Heritace Petroleum as we move forward into this new season. So we ask you all to tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell somebody who you never talk to, who you're vexed with. Sunday, come in here. we had to fill the stand because we're playing our first game against one of the top teams in the country, which is Terminex Rangers. Let us show them, as I said on television yesterday, anybody come in here, walk with a bag, because again, our bag are goals. Yeah? So we need to do that. Everybody loves a winner. Once we win our games here, we won't have space. So we may have to go back to the mayor who is here. Mr. Mayor, I hope you're listening, that we need to extend this place because we're going to fill it and it's going to be overflowing. So again, I want to thank the mayor and his council for coming here. We have the sports council here. Thank you so much for coming. I know we have to lean on you quite a lot these days. So again, apologies for the change in venue. I know it's a little bit warm, but we had no choice based on the weather condition. So I want to thank all the past people, sellers, for coming down to Point. Mr. Hawaii, who drive from Port of Spain, but it's shorter now on the Leroy Archibald Highway, so we can come to Point in 20 minutes now. Right, Leroy? Right. So, without further ado, I will take my exit. Again, I want to thank everybody for coming. Brian, thanks for coming, Brian, former strike squad. Let's give Brian a hand for straight, who's now part of our team. And let me tell you something. We have supporters here that are with us since many of you who play now were born. Laurie never missed a game even when we had. Laurie, thanks for coming and sharing your support with us. Yeah, we have a new management in Civic Center now. We have restructured and we are going to go forward. And because of Heritace coming on board, we have to be more prudent, we have to be more accountable, we have to be more transparent. So our management style has changed so that we must be ready to withstand scrutiny at all times and come out shining. With all that, I say thank you and have a good evening.
My name is Tyrell Emmanuel. I am a midfielder. I represent Heritage Petroleum Point Fortin Civic Center. I am from Santa Fara, Jacob Settlement.
Rondell Phillip, Center Defensive Midfield, Heritage Petroleum Point Fortin Civic Center FC.
The next person I'm going to bring to the podium, we cannot have an event like this and not have the gentleman come and say a few words. We might get an extra $1,000 in the kitty, you never know. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to put your hands together and welcome Mr. Clyde James, the Honorable Mayor. His worship the Mayor, sorry. Mr. Clyde James. Let's show some love.
Well, good afternoon. Members of the Point Fortin Civic Center football team, the main sponsor here today, Heritage Petroleum Company, special invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a pleasure to be here this afternoon at this media launch of the Civic Center football team in conjunction with Heritage in the new football season. And while I was looking at some of the program here, I remember my younger days coming to the Mahaika Oval to watch some of the stalwart play football here and what they have represented. And Civic Center being a little over 55 years old now and coming out of the era of Shell and BBOT, produced a lot of stalwart footballers in the era. And everybody knew that Point Fortin was considered the mecca of football. And we have one of our stalwarts here sitting in front of us, Mr. Leroy De Leon. And we have other persons who have produced from this era. But this is the benchmark and the platform on which we have to develop. And the members of the Heritage football team, you are challenged to make sure that this football team go from strength to strength. You are challenged to bring the glory days back to Point Fortin. And as Mr. Williams said, by your performance, you will get the support of the community. And we are all here willing to support you in your endeavors. And with the assistance given by Heritage, we'll make sure that we have the quality players here to perform the duty and to bring us back to the glory days that we are accustomed. So on behalf of the 12th Council of the Point Fortin Borough Corporation, we want to thank you for the sterling performances you have given in the past. And we look forward for better things from you in the future. And we are going to give you all the necessary support necessary to perform to the level that is there. And as Mr. Williams said, our first goal is to get into CONCACAF. That will bring us nurture, bring all the necessary tourism, sport tourism that we are looking forward here in Point Fortin. It will also give us an opportunity to sell what we have, the product that we have here, which is football, a good standard of football. So once again, it was a pleasure being here. We look forward to support the team, and we ask the Burgesses of Point Fortin to come and support Heritage Civic Center team. I thank you very much.
Isaiah Hudson, midfielder and striker for Heritage Petroleum Point Fortin Civic. My name is Ezekiel Kiza, a forward for Point Fortin Civic.
I also want to take this time to thank the Mr. Varma out of Ministry of Sports. Thank you so much, Mr. Varma. Thank you so much. Let's say Mr. Varma, please. So this is the part we have all been waiting for. We're now going to have the introduction of the team players. The introduction of Heritage Petroleum Company PFCFC. So ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and let's welcome, as we meet and greet the players of PFCFC, Point Fortin Civic Center FC.
My name is Mark Ramdean, I'm a forward. I'm representing Heritage Petroleum Point Fortin Civic.
Hi, my name is Jai Bhagma, I'm representing Heritage Petroleum Point Fortin Civic. Hi, my name is Jai Bhagma, I'm goalkeeper for Heritage Petroleum Point Fortin Civic.
My name is Justin Cornwall, I play centre back, Point Fortin Heritage Civic Center.
My name is Denzel Smith, national team goalkeeper. I'm here to represent Heritage Petroleum Point Fortin Civic Center.